Okay, so today basically the project that we're going with is what I wanted to focus on was the idea of working towards um, painting. Let me get this down here so where you can see this. Uh, Working towards painting or drawing, whatever, painting, drawing, just doing art, whatever it is we're doing with feeling. And again, the idea of trying to uh, uh, increase, I don't know if that's a good word, but I'll just put that, increase the expression, okay? So this is a part of it, is we really want to try to work at getting, um, uh, every artist I'd say is always working towards trying to get their work have more feeling and more expression in the piece. And how do we go about that? And one of the ways I would say is that we're always trying to work towards being more spontaneous in our work. Okay, so that we're trying to make our art more and more spontaneous, because when when we are working spontaneously or whatever, we are working, in the moment. We're responding to more to our own emotions that we're feeling at the time. Okay, so this is the area that we do want to work towards. And sometimes we'll just jump right into this. And we'll just, work spontaneous and trying to go off of just our own emotions. But there is something like, well, oh, actually, I forgot to put this down to explain this. As an example, why is this always so important is, I'll say it this way. Maybe this will help, you can think about it this way. So painting, if we're painting without feeling, is like an author. So this is my little metaphor. Painting without feeling is like an author. Oh, sorry, you're even on the recorded one. Writing without adjectives and adverbs. So we can imagine what that would be like. Reading a story that has no adjectives and no adverbs. We'll get the plot, we'll understand what's happening, but it's not going to move us. It'd be hard to keep reading the story, to be honest. It's not, because we're not invited in. We can't relate to what's happening in the story. Okay, so the idea is when we're doing art, because art is not just about speaking a message, it's about, again, inviting the people to experience what's happening. So we really always want to focus on trying to get this sort of feeling. And there's different ways that artists work. As I said before, on one end, we try and do that through realism, and I'm talking about our spectrums here, and then on the other end is abstract. Not a right or wrong. It's not like this is right and this is wrong or the other way around. Those are just two different ways. Different ways we go about learning how to do this. When we're learning, there's different ways. There's classical training. Okay, so where we learn in the classical way of doing it, and then other ways where we just simply learn from experience and just from our gut, how we, just experiencing, what, and again, just what we're feeling. On one end, we really spend a lot of time designing. you know, where again, we really plan it out, we design it and we plan it. And the other one, you know, again, is just in the moment. Okay. So my encouragement once again would be to try and move back and forth through this. Okay. To, you know, to spend time on both of these areas, you know, going back and forth. And as I said before, if you are more drawn to this, if you push yourself to this side, it will help you in your growth. And if you're more on this side, you push yourself there. So you just kind of go back and forth. And then really the whole time you're trying to get, you know, work at trying to increase the feeling that is in there. Okay. Because too often what ends up happening is we end up focusing just on the subject. Okay. And we get the idea in our mind, and for what the subject matter is, and we plonk it down on the page, and we don't think about anything else. We're not focusing on other things. But the reality is that there's a lot more that happens with expression. Just what we do, for example, just what we do with shapes. What we do with colors and values. Once again, values as in dark and light. With shapes, colors, values, and also how we arrange things, where we put them. Okay, all of these sort of things, they all have expression. Okay, all of that expresses things. So I want to do a little exercise with you guys. Well, actually, let me use an example here. One of the students, he's in Kenya, he's trying to join, and he is, things have not worked out for him yet. But anyways, I wanted to share a piece that he shared with the group. And so let me go over to screen share. Here we go. So let's just take a look at this. Can you see the one, the African painting? Okay, so hopefully that's what you're looking at right now, is just what he has done with this. Okay, so the subject is simply this woman, the African woman, with the vase on her head and then the other platter on her hand. And that's the subject, but the expression, which, well, let me ask you guys this. Take a moment and just look at it. And if I could ask each of you guys just to give a word, maybe what's a word that comes to your mind that goes with this piece. Now, understand the background here is some books, so the piece is just up to here. What would be a word that you feel this is expressing? So go ahead and unmute yourself. And anyone who wants.
I think I just see joy because of the colors, the vibrant colors. So the vibrant colors is like joy to me. She's working, but she's joyful.
Okay, joy, good. Anyone else?
For me too, it's a joy and free, kind of freedom, but joy and life, easy life.
Okay, joy, easy life.
Yeah.
Lyle and Reith, what about you guys?
I see a lot of different things, to be honest.
Okay.
Part of me was thinking complexity, not necessarily about how the piece was done, but in terms of the woman captured in the piece. But I also see strength and happiness, like somebody else mentioned.
Okay. Strength, happiness, joy. Reith, what would you say? What sort of feeling comes from this piece for you? Oh, you must be muted. I can't hear you.
Yes, I also into the color. That is very joyful color, and the background with the shapes, different colors, is very interesting. And even the style of shirt, something like that. And just simple, but expression like to make feel like very joyful.
Okay. So what is bringing this about? Thanks, guys. Yeah, so definitely the bright colors are going to bring about this sense of joy, but there's something that's happening here with this contrast, with this, putting in these dark shapes and the exaggerated dark skin on her creates a sense of high contrast, which anytime we have contrast, so that's going to create like make an expression stronger. A little more loud, as if, more joyful, more exciting. Okay. The simplicity, though, I think, was it Lal or Reith who said, someone said something about just simple. So it also brings out an expression of just, it's just simple how the figure's simplified, the background is just geometric shapes, but then we've got the pattern in here, which again adds a little more excitement and joy. The overall piece is a very, very positive feeling to the piece. And all that comes about just not the subject, but how he's played around with it. So I'm going to do a little example with you guys. Again, here where you guys, I'm going to ask you to participate. So you can just go ahead and unmute yourself. And what I'm going to do is I'll start with just shapes here. And I'm just going to put down a couple of shapes, and I'm going to ask you guys, just use your imagination, and I want you to imagine that these shapes have expression to them, okay? They have an emotion, all right? So if you guys can just take a look at these two shapes, just very, very simple shapes, just a square and a circle. And I want you to imagine, though, that each of these has an emotion, and one of these shapes is, and it's, first of all, you're not trying to figure out what is right or what is wrong, okay? There's not a right answer to this. The question is simply, are you able to imagine this? Is this something that is really possible? Could you imagine that one of them is angry and one of them is happy, these two shapes? And if so, if you think, yeah, I could imagine that, which would you say is which? Which one would you say feels like the angry one, and which one feels like the happy one?
Well, the square obviously would be the angry one.
You feel obvious even. Interesting.
Yeah, I mean the square obviously, because I think it ties in with the language of being square maybe, or just sort of confined and restricted. Yeah.
Okay. Did anyone else? And it's interesting that you said obviously, because to you so clearly it didn't take any time at all. It just stood out.
That's why I was laughing, because to me it's obvious, but to somebody else it might be totally different perspective.
Yeah, and I have had people say it the other way.
Yeah.
Monique or Lael, I know Reith from last night.
I would say the same.
Okay.
Like the square is the angry and the round is the happy one.
Okay.
So I would say the same.
Lael, what do you think?
Yeah, I'm definitely on. Say like I thought it was. I don't want to say obvious, but even in terms of how character designs work, then you usually see certain shapes repeated to represent certain characters. Like how you have like square characters are more aggressive or whatever, as opposed to circular characters who are more grounded. And I mean, when I say circle, I mean in terms of how they're illustrated, how their body shape is, for instance. But again, like you said, other people can see it another way, and it's perfectly fine too. But for me, I see it as the circle as the calm one and the square as the aggressive one.
Okay. One thing I will share with you guys, though, even though it's not necessarily right or wrong, I will share with you 100% of the time, the vast majority always choose this one as the angry one. There is something about it, okay? It's not only just in our mind. There is something, I believe, happening that, like we're talking, you know, 95%, more than 9 out of 10 times people choose this one. It's actually pretty rare the other side, but people do have that. We'll try another one, just another shape, another example of a shape. And maybe this one won't be obvious. It might feel obvious to you. Okay, so we have two different shapes again. And one of these shapes is safe, and one of them is adventurous. See, I'll ask Monique this time, which one do you feel, which one feels like the safe one to you? The one that would play it safe, okay? So again, imagine
Yeah.
they have a personality. Which one likes
Yeah.
to be safe and which one likes to be
For
adventurous?
me, the safe is the rectangle.
Yep.
And the other one feels like more crazy, so maybe I will not feel safe.
Okay, so this one feels like it's more adventurous.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, less straight.
Yep. Okay. Alice, what about you? Oh, you're muted. So I couldn't hear you.
You can hear.
You guys
Oh,
can
I'm
probably just
sorry.
yeah, you can
I-
probably keep them off for now.
Yeah, I agree with Monique. The squiggly one is the wild one, and the rectangle is more safe.
Okay. Well, is it the same for you again?
Yeah, definitely.
And Reith, I know from last
Actually-
night you said that too, that it felt like that for you as well. And we have something like that again, organic shapes, so that we have an organic and geometric shapes, and even this one being so horizontal, a horizontal shape is just going to feel just much more still and stable and not as, yeah, just even the fact that I put it this way, it would have been different had I put it on a diagonal. Okay, this starts to create a different sort of feeling. Maybe it's a little more active. It feels like it's lifting up, or it feels like it's falling down. But I have interestingly had other people have said that, how is it with this one? This one feels more, oh, how was it? This one, one of them felt more scared. That's what it was. This one, because it's all jittery, it felt like nervous to them. And so they thought that this would not be as adventurous. And this one felt more secure, because often, again, it's flat, it's solid, it's secure. So then they actually thought this one, because it's secure, would be more adventurous. But you see, the feeling it's created is actually the same. Okay, so the expression coming from the shape is still the same. It's simply how they're interpreting it. And so our personality and all of those things play into it. If we do another one here, now this time the shape is going to be exactly the same. So we're not thinking about shape this time. Our shapes are exactly the same. And this time I'll ask Lael what you think. What I'm going to change is the value. I'm going to change the dark and light. Okay. So now we're going to do just a difference in dark and light. And so you're just using your imagination, looking at them. And again, what I want you to go by is feeling mostly. Try and focus on how it feels. So one of these is quiet, and one of these is loud. So if they could actually talk or make noise or whatever, which do you think is the quiet one and which is the loud one?
I definitely think the one on the left is more me, and the one on the right, with the lighter shading, seems a bit more quiet.
This is the quiet and this is the loud.
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, your thing cut out again. Alice, Monique, and Reith, what did you guys? Is it obvious or is it not so?
Yeah, the
I would-
darker is loud, and the shaded is the quieter.
Okay.
Yes, me too. Me too. For me too.
Okay, so that's some contrast once again, and it's, you know, dark things in contrast is always going to make something louder. So again, as we work and paint, these are things we keep in mind. For example, let's say you want to paint let's say a sunset, and you want to make it feel like a really peaceful sort of sunset, and you're painting it. And let's say if you paint some clouds, and your clouds are all these dramatic sort of shapes. You've got really bold, bright colors, and against some really dark ones. You know, maybe there's a dark silhouette, and it's with trees and all this sort of stuff. And if you are only working in this area, it is actually going to work against it, against what you're trying to do. It's not like you can't include any of these things. It's not like everything has to be geometric, everything has to be low value, but you do have to pay attention. If your piece is dominated by high contrast, all those sort of things, it will create a different expression than what you're trying to get across. Okay, so let me do another one with arrangement. So I'm going to do just two different elements, and just a straight line in a circle. So let me just sort of separate this so we can see. Make sure we're on the camera here. And I wonder if there's, oh well, we won't worry about it. So if I have, let's say I have a circle here, and this circle is what I want you to think about. And I'm going to arrange it simply with a line. So if I put a line here, and then if I do it again, put in a line, but now I'm going to move the circle. I'm going to put the circle into a different place. Okay, so here's our two separate arrangements. One, and so the circle is the one I want you to imagine. The circle has the emotion, and one of these, the circle's having fun, and in the other one, the circle is not having fun. This one's maybe not so obvious. I'm curious if what the responses will be. Which one? Anyone who wants to give it a shot?
So I don't know why, but it sort of reminds me of like a teeter-totter. Well, when the circle's up high on the slope, it sort of reminds me of like a slide or a teeter-totter or a playground. So I associate that with fun. And where the circle is under the line, it's more like hiding. It feels like hiding to me, like scared maybe, I don't know.
Okay. Monique and Lal and Ruth, what about you guys?
For me, it's the same. The one on the right feels more happy. I cannot say why, but I feel more because the point is on the top. So I feel more joy or happiness. And the other one feel more like sad, something like this, because it's below. I don't know why, but I feel like this.
Okay. Lal, is it the same for you, or are you feeling the other way?
Yeah, the
It's
same
hard.
feeling, yeah.
Oh, sorry. Or Ruth, go ahead, whoever.
And the first one is like say that is like a playground. The first one like something that's for, and the second one is something like a sliding from up to down. Like this is more exciting, safe also. Yeah, and the first one I think like something like you say, falling or hurt something. It is fall on. Yeah, this is just my idea.
Okay. Lal, what were you going to say?
I really can't say. Maybe I'd say the one on the right with the dot on top is the Saturn one. Yeah, that one. Cause it has the dot. If I see the dot, to me what it looked like was almost like a face. So if like you only had one eye drawn, so if those were the two eyes on top, then it'd be like a slanty face, which is like kind of sad. So
Okay.
I'd say that the one on the right with your pencil is that one is the Saturn one.
Okay. All right. So this one would not be having as much fun, and this one felt like it was having fun with you.
Yeah, at least more fun than the other one.
Okay. Okay. Well, this is good. Yeah, I finally got one where you guys were not on 100% agreement. And so this is something, again, we want to keep in mind. So two things. No one is going to get the exact same feeling from our artwork as we will. Okay, so we never have to really worry about that too much, but we do, however, have to be aware that there are certain things out there in how we arrange how we manipulate the shapes in our piece that are going to overall make a difference. I'm going to use one more example here. Start again. So even when we are creating artwork just for ourselves that we're never going to share, if we take time to understand and study and practice and really think about how we are arranging things and what we're doing, how we're manipulating it. I know for myself, I just know when I create a piece that I feel when I look at it, I feel the expression I was trying to get across. It just does so much more for me than the piece where it's not quite there. And so that can become a part of the journey, the designing. So this brings me to what I was the plan for this this project, which was to let me grab another. Here we go. So the project that I had set forth, which again, you know, unless you're doing your own thing. So the first thing that I suggested was to choose a you know, an animal. So, you know, find a picture of an animal or an object or something which represents and relates to how you're feeling right now overall. So of course, so I start that way because then we're working in the area of feeling and expression, and we're working at trying to create this feeling and expression of, you know, in the moment, what we're feeling. Well, maybe, you know, in this sort of this time period with, you know, whether it's COVID that's going on or just your job or something in your family, you know, you're super excited about something that's just come up. How can we express this? Now, and I want again to understand that this is where we begin, and you don't, if changes happen along the way, in the moment as you're working at it, and if you want to go with them, you go with them. Okay, we shouldn't lay down such rules and restrictions that will stop our creativity. Sometimes limitations will help our creativity, and our teachers will do this very often with their students. They'll say they're going to limit them. We're not at that point necessarily, and I think it's good if we limit ourselves. So we have our subject. One of my challenges is to simplify. Go ahead and simplify it. Manipulate it. Do whatever you can. Stretch it, exaggerate it, abstract it a little bit or a lot, whatever you want to do. But work at the subject itself to try and create a stronger expression with it. And then pay attention to your background. It's such a good place to start right away right at the very beginning, is to get ourselves in the habit of not thinking of the background last, you know, as an afterthought. Okay, think about what sort of shapes happen. What sort of shapes will you create in your background? And now they can be, you know, really bold and set apart, or they can be more subtle. But what we're going for is, because we want it to be captivating, we want our piece to be creative, and we want it to be unique. Okay, and this is what we're going for. We always want, you know, let's be honest. It's great to have a wow factor with our art. If we look at our art and we just feel wow about it, that's just more enjoyable, and that's supposed to be a part of it. And for others as well. You know, if we do something and someone else looks at it and they get a sense of wow from it. There's nothing wrong with enjoying that feeling that we made someone say wow, that they like the piece. Okay, so once again here, let's take a look at the African piece, if you can see it again. The woman, the subject, which is the woman, and the background are totally done together. In fact, even some of the lines of the background go right through her. So she's totally unified. She becomes the background and her are part of the same piece. Okay. The jar in her head too. There's another spot where he split it up. Okay. The colors relate. The colors in her, the colors in the background, they're unified together. There's a repetition of colors happening there. The simplification of her and the simplification of the background. All of this becomes part of one piece. It's not as one over the other. Okay, so this is what we're going for. And so since you guys are doing this, I'm going to share a couple of things. I've been doing the same with mine. So I started off, first of all, what was I feeling? And let me share mine. Where is it? Here it is. All right. So to be honest, what was my overall feeling? My overall feeling was nervousness, because here I am starting a new project. It's sort of the first one, and of course I'm wondering, are you guys going to enjoy it or not? And, even though I've been teaching for a long time, it's new doing it this way, and I deal with all the same emotions as everyone else. And so I thought, what's going to be a nervous sort of animal? I wanted to go with an animal like them. So I decided to pick this possum. Okay. And I found a picture of him. He looks rather nervous in the picture. So that became my starting point. All right. So let's take a look at where I went from there then. Okay. And how do we go about this? So my encouragement to you guys is, at some point, if you don't yet, is you have a sketchbook or your scratch paper where you spend time, doing stuff, putting it down, practicing and everything. So this is, this goes everywhere with me. So how do I go about this? First of all, when we are trying to compose and when we're planning and designing, we never should edit in our head. Don't do all the editing in your head where you come up with an idea and you sit here, you think about it. Is it a good idea? No, it's not a good idea. I'll try and skip that one and I'll move on. Okay. The editing should happen on paper. It's best to get it out. I encourage everyone always, as soon as the idea pops in your head, get it on paper. Okay. And another thing why we do this is our first ideas are often the most typical. And so this is why we don't settle for the very first idea that popped in our head. The very first idea is probably the most typical. Not always, but it's often very typical. So I start with my little possum here. I put him near the bottom. I think vulnerable, so I'm going to stick him near the bottom of my page. And I just put down some lines right away. Just get something down to begin. And but right away, let's try something different. Let's go horizontal. What if we do them horizontally? And and I'm going to make him a little bit bigger in the page. So let's try it. What if he becomes a little more dominant, but let's increase this pose. So I stretch the back, lift it up a little bit more, try and get that hunched sort of effect. Throw some lines down. Let's try some straight lines this time. Putting them down. An idea pops in my mind. What about if it feels like there's a spotlight on him? So I put him in a spotlight. Straight lines, diagonal lines. I've gone horizontal again. I try vertical again. I try and create this sense of this thing looming on him, this circle, and then these lines. I put a diagonal line in the background just to create a little more uneasiness. And then I think about what other sort of line. So I go with this jagged line. It's kind of hard to see. So I break the background up in real jagged sort of lines. And I bring his tail around. So I try a new pose, try and make it look like he's drawing back. And I stick this big shape, just a big shape in front of him, whatever it may be. Right now, I don't know what it would be. So I just stick it in there. And he's looking at that, he's drawing away from it, because it sort of goes with, again, my whole feeling, the temptation to draw away from something new. But I tried different. I break the background. I kind of like the jagged line. So I keep going with the jagged line idea because it feels like it's working to me. I'm trying different ideas, trying what can I do different with this big shape looming over him. Then it pops in my head to put him on a branch. And so I've got him on a branch, and I'm putting jagged lines around him to create this sort of, I'm trying to create a shaky sort of movement. I simplify this circle shape. Here he is. I try a different sort of shape. These leaning over, starting to, you know, the sense of overwhelming him. He's, you know, so everything I'm trying to do is just trying to give the viewer to feel uneasy or nervous or something like that with all of this happening. In the end, I actually decided I don't like this big shape, and I'm just gonna do some sort of circular sort of things instead. And so that was as far as I got. But later on, the next day, I actually decided I want to try something different, and that's okay. And if you're not feeling it, something new pops in your head. So I actually decided, I don't know if I necessarily want to spend all this time making an expression of my nervousness. I don't really feel like I need to let that out. I decided I want to do something a little on the other end. So what if I try and go the opposite? And I'm going to do something that's much more bold and strong, because I want to spend time doing that. That would be much better for me, is what I felt. So I go with a rhinoceros. I like rhinoceros. They're just fascinating to me, and they're big and heavy. And these guys, especially these Indonesian or the Indian rhinoceros, they have these big armor-looking plates. So I go with this instead, and this big, heavy, solid sort of thing. And the behind view just looks really funny to me. So this is my reference photos. You can see I've gathered myself a number of photos to work from, you know, to get an understanding of this. And let's look back at my sketchbook. And now I'm taking a different sort of approach. Okay, this time I want to make him look big and solid and strong. So I want to create a sense more of strength and power. So first of all, very big in the picture. He's going from bottom to top. He's overwhelming the whole frame. So I try that. Let's try vertical. Let's do again vertical. Right away, what about my background? What can I start doing with my background? I try these curved shapes. I flip it the other way again, make them really big, and in the background I put a tiny tree and a couple of tiny mountains just to exaggerate this largeness of him. And as I'm drawing my background circles, one ends up actually going through him, the line. And I sort of like what happened there. I like the background blending in with the subject a little more. So I keep going with that. I try vertical again. I keep going back and forth between vertical and horizontal, seeing how it looks. Now I've got more swirly lines. And then it comes to my mind, you know, what about more like a storm cloud or something like that, and dust? So I've got lines going through him. What if I change his position? He's now facing the other way. Don't get yourself stuck. Oh, actually I changed it here. You know, I don't want to get stuck in just this pose. So I even try another one. Okay, well, let's try a profile view instead. Okay, so I've done all these other poses. Sorry, I gotta make sure you can see this on the video. And he's now pointing in the other direction. So as I'm putting the lines right through him again, so my background and my foreground, my subject, they're all getting unified. And then I suddenly get this idea of these circles and how he's so made up of these circles. So I start playing with intersecting circles and how he takes on the shape in that. which has now led me to this, which in the end is so far, and it's not even so much about a whole expression of power, but more just a fun design sort of piece. And it becomes, to me, this has actually captivated me, and this is probably where I'm going to end up going. And so something I never planned on totally happened, where I went from this to something over here. And this is what I'm more excited by right now. Okay. And I think I'm probably going to spend time working on this and create my piece from this, and not with this little possum guy after all.
Mhm.
So that's okay if in the end, you know, you end up on something on your own, whatever direction you go, and that's what you're enjoying, you go with it. Right? And that's what I want you always to be able to feel in this class. So what is happening where I'm pushing myself, I start with something, but I'm pushing towards, you know, spontaneous, whatever, you know, letting things happen there. I'm still trying to create a feeling. The feeling my final piece is going to have is quite different than what I started with. But all of it is, yeah, that's kind of how art works. Okay. So it's 8 o'clock. So we have about an hour. So this is a good amount of time. My encouragement for you guys, if you have scrap paper, if you have your own sketchbook, is to spend some time practicing a little bit of this. Now I know, Lael, you said you were doing your own thing today. That's totally fine, right? Yeah, you just keep on going with that. And then I'm not going to stop you. If you already feel you have an understanding, you don't want to spend time in your sketchbook, today you're thinking, I just need to get paint down on my paper, you know, as I always say, that's what we're here for too. But if you do want to, you know, take some time here, push yourself towards some growth, my encouragement would be to, you know, spend some time, do 3, 4, 5, however many little, we call them thumbnail sketches, very small, okay? Very simple, very quick. Again, don't edit in your head, edit on your page. Every idea should go on the page. Don't wait till you feel it's a good one. I don't feel any of these are good ideas, to be honest. So I'm never going to paint them, probably, okay? But all of this got me to what I do, the idea I do enjoy, okay? So before we begin, and oh yeah, and then so maybe in about a half an hour or something, I'll ask where you guys are at, and just take a look, and you can show me, we can talk a little bit about it, what you have so far, all right? And if before that you have, you know, a question, or you get stuck, I can help you as well. So anyone have any questions? We're all good? Alice, your photograph with your hair, your wild hair. It's so fun. That's funny. Actually, this morning when you came on, I didn't recognize you at first, because now your hair's like, you know, your hair's pulled back. So you look so different from your photo there. Anyways, that's such a fun photo. I like that. So, all right, everyone good? Okay, I'll put on some music, and again, if you want to put on your own headphones or whatever you want to do, I'm going to work on my piece. I'll keep an eye on the time. In about a half an hour, we'll come back. So I'm going to pause this. I'm going to go ahead and record this part if that's okay, just to get an idea.
This is the first one because I feel so tired. So I did a bird that was like.
Oh, so you did a bird that's tired?
Yeah, I don't know if you can really see. But then I did a penguin. Oh my gosh, I'm not sure you can see very well.
Oh, yeah. Oh, wow, this is fine.
Then I decided I wanted a penguin that was, because penguin is nice, is not moving and doing anything. So it's why I wanted a penguin because I feel tired. So then I continue with this one. And then I wanted something more funny. So I tried to make a little bit the shapes a little bit different. Like, I don't know if you see, but anyway.
Yeah, yeah.
And I ended with this one because I tried to make it like more funny. I don't know if you see something.
Okay.
So this is my penguins.
So do you have an idea which one? So the idea for this one is to take the idea, you know, so different than last time where we just worked for the day and then started something new. My idea was that we would develop this into a larger piece. However large you want to go is up to you. And then that would be, you know, something, your first piece that you work on. And then however you want to do it, paint, you know, acrylic, watercolor, colored pencil, marker, it's completely up to you what works best for you. And not something that you now, again, have to work on your own, but, you know, next time you come to class, you can just, you know, start on that piece, whichever one you're feeling. Yeah, so out of your, if you were to work on one of those, which one are you thinking? The last one there?
Yeah, the last one, just for because more fun, trying to make strange shapes. Looks like more childish, but it was the way I wanted.
Cool.
I don't know the feet, how to make them a little bit crazy, and I wanted, anyway.
So you can work on the one, just to come, when it actually comes to painting, like the little dots that you have on them, you know, because if you're thinking with paint and color, you know, you might want to vary the size, some of those bigger, some of them smaller, so they're not all just the same size. Yeah, all the boxes around him, at least to me, it feels kind of enclosed. Either enclosed or he's kind of breaking out of that.
Yeah, maybe.
Wrapped around him or anything like that. So, yeah. And just something to consider is, especially if you're trying to create a sense of playfulness, is not necessarily have them so vertical. You know, again, it's, you know, what are you going for? You're trying to have them very still and calm and quiet. You know, vertical, just straight up and down, is just going to be very calming, or, well, not calming, it's very static, very still if something is straight up and down. Okay, if you're trying to get more of a sense of playful, like he's jumping and that sort of thing, then you're going to want to either put him on a diagonal or curve him a little bit. So just another thing, just for your own sake, when you're doing all these little practice things, sometimes it's feel free to go ahead and make them really small, you know, so you're not, a number of things, you're not using up so much paper, you're not using up so much time, and you can just, you know, start to pump them out. That's why they call them thumbnail sketches. And it forces you to stay simple. It forces you to actually stay away from the details. It's always good to spend time not putting in the details yet. Spend time on the bigger parts. It's sort of, it's like setting your foundation first. And so when you work small, that helps with that too. So cool. Very fun. And who knows, maybe more ideas will come to you too throughout the week. And go ahead and let them happen. Let's see, who else was that? Alice, you look like you're ready. You want to share? Oh, you got muted. Somehow I'm not hearing you. Try again. It says you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Still not picking up. Weird. Can anyone else hear Alice?
No, I can't. I'm not sure what's happening. I don't know. Are you using headphones by chance? Is that?
Can I hear?
Yeah. That's weird. We didn't have trouble.
I don't know. I'm not sure.
Try it. You could try just sign out and sign back in. See if that works. For some reason, it's not picking up. So, Lael, while we're working, I'm curious to see what you've been working on today. Oh, well.
Okay, sure. I didn't get very far. I just did the hair. But I was drawing a character from an anime that I like watching.
Okay.
So, I don't know how. Right. Okay. Right. So that's the just right. This is here. So it's gray on one side and red on the other side.
Yep.
So after kind of finish off. So I guess I can show you it tomorrow or something.
Awesome. That's cool. I like the background already starting. It's a little blurry, but it looks like you have a nice, your background's not just a flat color. You have some nice gradation and variation happening, which is not, did you water it down when you were working in the background?
So I think they use alcohol. Alcohol. I just want to do something different. So I mix alcohol with the day.
Yeah, and it's acrylic, right? You're using acrylic?
Yeah, that's mainly, yeah, acrylic mainly.
Yeah, cool. Yeah, the alcohol and acrylic create some cool effects. That's awesome.
Thanks.
Try again, Alice. Let's see. Can we hear you?
Can you hear me now?
Yeah, there you go. Now we can hear you.
I don't
Yay!
think Alice is back yet.
Mm-hmm.
I missed somebody's artwork.
Oh,
Oh well. I'm
Lael.
sorry.
Maybe you can just quick hold it up. He was working on something that he had started.
That was lagging. My bad.
All right, did you want me to go?
Sure, go ahead.
Okay, I don't know. Did you want me to interject the thoughts or feelings or
Well,
just
Kind of, you can, it's usually we kind of often share where we want to go or where the direction we're feeling right now and where we're at so far.
Okay, so my personality is kind of crazy. Part of it's like lion, confident, whatever, and other times it's like a timid rabbit, anxious, nervous, whatever. So right now I'm feeling that way. So I've never drawn a rabbit before. So I tried to the thing that I thought about was falling down a rabbit hole, and kind of things are chaotic right now.
Uh-huh.
So I tried to make him look like he was falling, and then I tried another one, but it ended up looking like a goat. And then I tried these guys.
Yeah.
And then I don't follow directions very well. I'm sorry, teacher Rick. So he's falling down the rabbit hole. And then I work kind of fast and sloppy. So I did this. And the rabbit's in the center.
Oh, you muted for some reason.
Can you guys hear me?
There you go. Now you're back again.
Yeah, people keep trying to call me and it shuts out the sound. Sorry about that. So anyways, I was trying to integrate shapes, like square shapes and then circles. So of course the square would be serious moments in my life that are happening that I need to deal with. And then the circle is my personality and my playfulness. But I'm along for the ride. I'm falling down the rabbit hole.
Cool. Very cool. Let me.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I like your change with the rabbit definitely worked. First when in your first one, the You see this? Yeah, so your first one, he was kind of like this, and then you had the legs like this. So he was feeling very still.
Yeah.
And then when you, especially when you put the legs, the one you had the legs going up like this, which really created, and then the ears straight up. So all of that really created this, you know, movement of,
Yeah.
see that?
I got help. I got help from somebody on the internet. So thank you, whoever that was on the internet.
So that now with the hole, just if you want to create a sense of because with the hole with the circle inside a circle, and again, this is, you know, totally up to you, and not something that you have to go change this one, but just as, you know, thinking in mind what we always work towards in our spontaneity. The more we understand about design, our spontaneous become even more and more our expressions become stronger. If actually putting the hole off to the side, something like this can also increase. It's so light. Let me get a little closer here.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
So again, center, center, center. Everything's centered. Everything like this is just, you can't help it. It's just going to be static because it's all symmetrical. Setting it off to the side. Let me do it darker so you can see it. Would actually increase. So if here's your page, you know, and then here's even the rabbit.
Okay, cool.
You know,
Yeah,
so,
I tend to do that, is put everything like right in the center. And
that's not always necessarily wrong, but if we're trying to, it just, central always means, you know, and you might be doing it on purpose because you might want to have that sense of, like you said, that calm and stability. And if you're trying to put that in there, then it's a good thing. But especially for movement, you know, and I'm even looking at this, maybe he shouldn't be so, you know, straight. And then even some of your shapes, some of those shapes, if they get bigger around the outside and smaller as they come in, it will also create that depth.
okay, cool. Thank you.
All those sort of things. So it's just a way of taking that initial idea, and it even makes it more, you know, so you can do all their stuff. You know, I like that idea, you know, your squares, and I saw you had some spirally things and all of that going on there. And then even, so you had a lot of color and everything happening, just something else. But I think at the end, right, it was fairly light.
Yeah, it was light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah, light. And then if that increases, so if you have this light, but then it's, let's say it's dark, and then it slowly gets lighter again up here, will also create a feeling of a tunnel, tunnel-like sort of. So those are all sort of things you could bring in, you know, into it. But
Thank you. That's awesome.
very fun. Very
Thank
fun.
you.
And I love that you are like that. You're not just blindly following rules. Okay. Just you know,
Most teachers won't say that, so thank you.
no. That's you have to. I mean, otherwise, yeah, you know, otherwise you're just, you know, it's a dance of both. And that's, you know, my whole idea is just to kind of, you know, do things like this, give you a little suggestions and pointers and stuff like that, and everything. It's an invitation whether you want to take it or not.
For sure, I love it. Thank you.
Cool. So, Reith, did you work more on that same piece, or did you go with something different?
Different, a little bit different, but focus on like composition.
Yeah.
But I don't know what it's wrong. So this is the first one with a cow.
Yeah.
But composition is just a little bit hidden here. The focus. And this is the second one, so I can see a bit here. This one I use the last design. I changed mine a bit from trees to the cloud.
Whoa.
Because like,
Oh,
you know what is the like value composition is, which should be a darker like this, and what is the composition is right, or like you can like help me, you can help me some idea, some like I want to make more some abstract shape, but like I don't know how it going on, but
I
help me with
love what's happening. Yeah, let me, here's the things that really worked. So in your first one,
Yeah.
right? So, you know, here's your cow and he's looking this way, right?
Yeah.
In your very first one, and this is where you did a good job. You have him, I like his viewpoint. We're sort of like, at least for me, as a viewer, I'm relating, almost feeling like the cow and me were the same. So I'm in this position. And first you had your trees, and his gaze makes me go this direction. And you're right, at the beginning, there was nothing there when I got there, visually. And so just visually, you stuck something there. That was a really good idea. Okay, so now here's your cow again, but now I'm drawn over to here, okay, to what is here. And then you had this and the trees, and then you switch to the clouds. So the trees and the clouds, of course, the clouds is a little more unique and different, and now it feels like I get it, to me, it feels a bit precarious is the English word we use, which means a little uneasy, not secure, but also a bit exciting, being up in the clouds. So it feels really kind of exciting. So this is the one thing that you might want to spend time on. What is going to be here? So right now you have the circles, right? Like you have this sort of thing. And you don't have to, but just something to think about is, do you want to have, should there be something there inside this?
I want to. Yeah, just like I focus on start from the car, but the long way rocky road. Just like this is just rocky.
Yeah.
The rock where is making from like that, and to reach the point, just like to make way like, to reach the price point or something that is good from there.
Yeah. So it may be just what you do with the color, maybe just enough that just what, you know, whatever the color happens here, you know, and it depends what you want to say. So right now it feels like he's got to go down this rocky road, and depending on what you do with this will create a different expression. You know, maybe you want to leave it mysterious, that we don't know what's there yet. And so on purpose, you could leave it empty. And then the viewer will think, you know, someone may look and say, oh, there's nothing at the end of the road, and it feels a little hopeless. Someone else might feel, oh, maybe it's actually, again, depending on the color, will make a difference. If it's very dark at the end of this, or if it's very light, you know, like analysis, the fact that she had light at the end of that hole, that will all make a difference on what you do here. So all I'm saying is, what happens here is going to be important for your piece. Okay, totally up to you what you want to do. Just know it will matter. It will create, it will say something different depending what you put there.
Yeah,
I like it. I hope you do something with this one.
Yeah, I want to go and with this one to work with watercolor, but just to design more, not the final one.
Okay. Okay, so you still feel you have to do more yet. Very good.
Anyway, thank you.
Okay, it's a little after 9. So thanks again for joining me for your afternoon or morning or whatever it is. And I'm going to stop the recording here.